All right, good morning, everybody. It's Thursday, July 29th, 7:40 a.m. my time. Price of BTC currently at $39,900. So once again, we've basically had 8 or 9 straight days to the upside. We're coming up on that TD9, which we spoke about yesterday evening in our video. These typically mark exhaustion points in a trend, whether it's to the upside like this that you're seeing, or whether it's to the downside where, as you could see over here, when we started to have, the ninth, maybe the 10th, then you get like a relief rally, right? And the relief rally is typically 1 to 3 candles. So it's, 9 to 13 candles up or down, and then you get 1 to 3 candles or 1 to 4 candles of a correction in the opposite direction. So that's kind of what we're coming into right now. In fact, if you actually look back on the history of BTC, it's quite rare if we've ever had, say 9 or 10 days in a row of just straight upside, right? You could probably look back on your own, but I don't really see any, at least in the last few years. So it is kind of rare. Once again, in this area right here, it's not necessary that you do have to fade the market, right? Meaning you don't have to short it. As of right now, I'm still majority in cash. If we kind of go to the positions right now, we have a small position in BTC. It's $5,000 position. It's in the 5K account right here, right, as you can see. And then in my main account too, in my main account, I took a small BTC long position as well. So all in all, I still want to be long BTC because of the fact that if we kind of look on the hourly and the 4-hour, it looks like we're kind of grinding up into this resistance. Actually, one can make the argument now that this trend line is cracking. So if that trend line is cracking, if you want to get out of your position right here before your stop gets hit, I think that's fine, because as you can see, we held this trend line a bunch of times, and now that it looks like we're cracking it, may not be the best bet to kind of be in a position if you don't want to. Yeah, so as you can see, we're kind of sliding, right? So yeah, totally understandable if you want to get out of your position. I was kind of figuring that we have the expiry coming up tonight, I think at around midnight. My thought process was there might be some sort of force that will guide BTC to close somewhere in this area, because this is where a majority of the calls were for the strikes, right? They were about 40,000, 42,000, 44,000, right? So I would figure somewhere around 40, 41, 42K is where price might close by tonight or tomorrow. But again, obviously not at all necessary that we don't really know if those calls, those options got closed out already. And now maybe traders are taking profit, and then price might be able to, do its own thing and start heading down, right? If those traders got out of the trade who bought heavy, right? I remember I showed you all this a couple of days back. If you go to Avi's Twitter feed right here, you can actually go to, I posted this a couple of days back. This guy had basically bought a good amount of call options on BTC. As you can see, these are different strikes that he bought, 35, 34. I mean, obviously all of these are in money now. But then following that was another large activity of more call buyers. Okay, as you can see, right? 41, 46, 42, 44, 44, 42, right? So across the board, I mean, someone big in the options world was buying up a lot of, upside potential. And now that price is kind of floating around that area, really the question is, like, can they break this area, right? Till yesterday, I was thinking the probabilities were pretty high that this thing is consolidating right into resistance, kind of like an ascending triangle. It looks like there might be still potential to break out. I'm going to hang on to my position unless it hits my stop, which is down here, or if it breaks upward, I'll see where exactly I need to close out that position, right? I'm kind of okay with taking a open position in terms of targets. I don't have any targets set, but I'm totally fine with kind of letting the market see where it's going to go. Okay. 4 hour basis again. I mean, lots of chop around here. Once again, like whether you look at the 4 hour or kind of daily, you can make the argument that, okay, if you don't want to go long, that's fine. But if you do want to go short, just remember that there might still be, activity where you get quick wicks to the upside, or price might, rip to the upside by the end of the day and then nuke maybe into the weekend, right? Tons of arguments to be made. And the other argument, obviously, is that price has gone up, 8 or 9 days, has not really posted a higher low from this key low, right? So unless we get that higher low and then, a shift in structure, remember, what we're still trading within is, you can still make the argument that, oh, this is, a high, low, lower high, big lower low down here, right? And then you could even say, oh, well, this is another lower high, whether it's as per this high or this high up here. And then this is a low, but then we structurally have not changed into a higher low and a higher high, in which case then this would define a new trend building, right? So with that being said, the argument here is that maybe the market needs to come down, retest 35K, 36K, somewhere around this area, and then start that big leg up, maybe in August or September. That's really what I'm waiting for, to be honest, to kind of get out of my cash position. And if I don't get it, then I don't get it, right? It's fine by me. I mean, I'm not super particular about it. Okay. All right. Let's check out alts. What do we have on alts? Ethereum still breaking outside this descending trend line. Once again, I mean, this is still a different kind of range right here that's been defined, right? This is a range high that, if you want, the trade here from here could be a long up to this area and your stop just below here, if you do believe that ETH is going to head up, But once again, seeing ETH put in all these big green candles, maybe like, what is that, 8 or 9 in a row, same as BTC, one can make the argument that ETH needs that higher low in structure, just like BTC, and then starting to make its way up higher. So I'm hoping for that structural change. The bearish narrative in here could still be that these are lower highs, like, this is still fizzling out of the prior trend right here. Like, this goes like this, like the bouncy ball effect, right? Like that, and then you break, ultimately. It's happened before, right? You guys remember back in 2018 right here in BTC, this is exactly what happened, right? This is how the market kind of fizzled out, and then finally from here, just nuked down. So in the back of my mind, I still give probabilities to that scenario playing out. Okay. It would almost be remiss and quite immature for anyone to think that the market from here has bottomed and it has to go up. It could have bottomed. I agree with that. But, I'm not going to take significant size and just say, all right, well, it's, 8 or 9 days in a row, like, we have to go up from here. Not really. I still need to see that structural change, right? So I'm being cautious in the market. At the end of the day, all you can really do is protect your capital, right? Capital preservation is rule number 1. And rule number 2 is growing your capital. Okay, so right? Hey, can y'all hear me? Sorry about that. I don't know what happens to me whenever I'm on VPN. I get kicked off like just randomly, but anyway. Okay, back to the analysis, right? So what I was talking about is Luna right here, right? I had mentioned Luna was yesterday in DeFi analysis, and we even talked about this in yesterday's video, right? I told y'all that once it's breaking out of here, right? In yesterday's video, I told y'all that, hey, maybe it's just kind of heading into this key area of resistance, right? As you could see, and that's kind of what Luna just did. So now that it's kind of done that, I mean, it's had pretty significant upside. I would probably look for a pullback from here. I don't know what kind of significant pullback you're going to get, but you could see kind of right here, we're already at this, range high from the previous channel, and then this lower high, range high right here. So all in all, with the way BTC looks, with the way, Luna is coming and sitting at this high, might be looking for a pullback here, and it could give you a good opportunity to buy back either at $8.40 or $6.55, right? Either way, I mean, the market might give you some decent entries if you are looking to get back in. All right. This is, again, kind of what I'm waiting for, right? That the market to give me better risk to reward trades. Okay. I am really not opposed to being bullish. Like, as I mentioned, I'm in a BTC long position, but I want to see certain conditions being met in the market to help me engage and understand that I'm not just putting my capital at risk, right? Like, I really don't give a crap if I feel like, oh, this has to be the bottom and I have to buy in now. Like, if I'm getting into alts now, I'm still buying at a significant discount, right? Whether you look at Luna, even now from the highs, Luna is still discounted at a 50%, right? 50% discount. Band or Link. I mean, all these altcoins are down at least, 50, 60, 70% from their highs. So I'm not really missing out on a whole lot, right? So these are things that, one has to keep in mind as the market kind of gives you these opportunities where it may set you up in a way where you feel like you're being lured in, you just don't know it yet. Okay. Would I short Luna? So I would, yes, to be honest, yes, I would short it. Yes, I would short it because simply for the fact that there's a confluence of multiple reasonings why Luna could be top tier, right? Now, I wouldn't short it by literally saying like, all right, this has to be the top and Luna cannot hit another wick towards this high. Like, if I were to short, right, I would prepare for, say, a $1 range in this area up and down to form. And within that $1 or $1.25 range, that is how I would effectively want to build a short. Because I would say with pretty high confidence that Luna will, again, probabilities wise, Luna should be getting a pullback from here, whether it's back to 840 or say, mid range right here between this high and this low. Either way, it's a pretty good risk to reward trade, right? For a short position. Okay. But you can't definitively say that, well, Luna has definitely topped and this has to be the high. Because if you keep your stop above here, the following daily candle could go up like this. And by the end of the day, it could come down again. This is the kind of stuff that happens in crypto quite often because, here's a perfect example of that, right? So this green candle hits the range high. Following candle goes up, closes down. Another green candle goes up, closes higher, but then the following red candle closes down, and then you get 5, 6, 7 days of successive sell-offs, right? So this is the kind of stuff that when you're going short, you have to prepare for that kind of range to develop. Okay. And if you do prepare for that, I think this is a pretty good short opportunity because I do believe that Luna has extended a decent amount. The better risk to reward trade is short this from this high to this low or this high to this mid-range right here. Mid-range would be like $9.75, $10. Okay. All right. One of our members, Odd, is it Audie or Odd? Sorry, I don't know which way to pronounce your name. I'm sorry. I have a weird name too. It's Amal. Sometimes people say Amal, Amal. So, all right. So this is a question. It's Latin. All right. Well, it's a nice name, man. I'll give you that. Okay. So, you had a question about AXS, right? So, okay, you're mentioning that you're still in the long. Currently, my TPs are 49 and 52, adjusted down from 55. My stop is set at 43.29. I'm wondering if either my stop or TP needs adjusting. If I should just let it run. Okay, so let's get to that. All right. All right. Oh, your stop already hit. Oh, my bad, man. Sorry. I literally just saw the user requests. But let's just say, you're still in that scenario, right? Like, here's kind of how I would look at it. Okay. First of all, this is previous range high. Deviation comes back, rejects range high. Once again, rejects range high, lower high, starts selling off, right? The best area that I would probably say that AXS will probably like to come back into is somewhere in here. Somewhere in here, it should come into and bounce. Now, how high of a bounce that will be is yet to be determined. Like, does it just bounce like this and then just start nuking? Or does it bounce like this, float around, and then start its next leg up, right? Now, this is probably a decent area to go for a risk to reward long, because if you go long here, your stop could be anywhere below these lows right here, right? And so your targets could be set up like this. So say you go long in here and your short is just below this low. Your first target profit is once again range high, right? So you're risking 11 for 20. And then guess what? Let's first check funding, because funding is extremely important. I mean, people love shorting AXS because it's gone up so much, right? That's really the thought process. Typically what happens with altcoins that have gone up a lot is people want to aggressively start shorting because they think that it can't go up more. But it's actually counterintuitive, because when the market starts to go down in an asset that just doesn't want to go down and people keep shorting it, it's really free money for the market, because what the market is doing is it's saying, hey, come in, short me, short me, short me, short me. Boom, it hits a point where there's basically an infinite bid, and then this thing just takes off like a rocket ship and just leaves everybody trapped, squeezes, and uses them as a fuel to keep guiding that price up. So in this particular instance, right, if AXS comes into this area of support, say 49, or not 49, 41 to about 40, okay, you pay attention to this funding right here. Guess what? AXS negative funding. What does that mean? Shorters are going aggressive again. They're going bananas on shorting. So they're paying long positions to stay short, right? So shorts basically have to fork up money to keep holding their short positions. So guess what happens? Well, once price hits a key level and it starts moving up and up and up, those shorts, as long as the funding is still negative, they're going to get squeezed out of the market and funding is going to be negative. So it's like you have to hold your position and pay funding to hold your negative position. So that's why shorts get squeezed out of the market, and then market rallies from here. So with this kind of negative funding, it's like a better risk reward trade, that if you find support in this area, 40 to 41, right, this could be your trade to back to the upside around 48 as a first target, 50 as a next, 54. I mean, you could basically pick and choose your targets above, right? You could throw on some fibs, some pivots, right? And you could say, okay, well, what are my targets above? Well, weekly pivot is right here around $57. Okay. Daily pivots, or do we have daily pivots? We have a daily pivot right above us around $46, $47. R1 around 49, R2 around 52. Right. So you get the point. Okay. If I was looking at this market, I'd say, okay, well, let's see how it reacts to this zone right here. If it holds, hey, could be a pretty solid risk to reward trade, right? All right. Yeah, so sorry, I know you didn't really care about your AXS trade right now because I know you got stopped out, but hey, who knows? You might get another opportunity. Okay, so we listed out a Luna potential short position, but once again, remember that in this market, when it's going up aggressively, like especially alts like Luna, you don't have to short aggressively. Like you don't have to think that, I have to go short because the market has gone up a decent amount. Okay. If you start seeing confluence in areas like I said, range high from the channel, range high from this lower high right here, when you start seeing things like that pile up, and then on top of that, you see the market has gone up a decent amount. Plus, say volume is kind of, not noteworthy in terms of hitting this high, and then BTC kind of looks like a inflection point is coming. All these things should give you an understanding of what the probabilities are if a particular asset should get a pullback or not. Okay, so let's see here. Where's the dominance? Yeah, so dominance, I mean, continues to climb. Makes sense. If it starts fizzling out here, right? Say dominance does something like this. Okay. Here's ideally what you want from dominance. Okay. You want dominance to kind of go like this, and this sideways structure, this might be the area where alts start to break out. And hopefully, well, actually, let me pull this back. I'm hoping dominance does something like this over the next few days, maybe even a week or so. While dominance comes down, I'm hoping price comes down with it. Okay. Maybe gets us back to 35K, builds base, starts our next leg up, beginning of August, middle of August. And hopefully this is the time where altcoins start to really develop, positive structure, good funding, and good volume coming in. Okay. Ideally, that would be the best scenario. Okay. So yeah, I'm playing out of the pocket in terms of sitting in cash and just playing levered longs, whether it's altcoins or BTC. But that's all I'm doing. Sooner or later, I really do want to jump back into spot positions. But for now, I don't quite feel comfortable. Okay, we'll get there eventually, though. I'm looking forward to that. If the market gives us that higher low, if it shows us that, hey, this is a turning point, whether it's for a dominant standpoint, BTC gives us a higher low on a daily, and then altcoins themselves get a nice pullback, right? I told you I have a list of altcoins that I have on my list, Luna being one of them. Rune is another one, right? Rune got hacked like a bunch of times, so I don't know how I feel about that anymore. But Solana is definitely another one, right? This one right here, still under this range right here, range low. Sushi is another one right here, sitting in a very large range, right? So all in all, I mean, there's a lot of altcoins that I still feel pretty good about. But we'll see. Okay, we'll see what happens in the market, and I'll keep y'all updated. Okay. Other than that, Masari, let's see if there's anything happening in the sector to sector summaries right here. 7 days. Let's do this. So past 7 days looks like currencies and DeFi have been leading in terms of sector movements. So let's cover these real quick. All right. Obviously, in currencies, I mean, BTC falls under that, Ethereum falls under that, XRP. So all of these have been going relatively well, over the past 7 days. Okay. DeFi assets too. Obviously, Uni's been kicking ass. Luna has obviously, just been dominating. I think Luna basically doubled in price in the last 2 weeks. Aave is doing relatively well, right? Aave is one of my favorites too. I'm really bullish on Aave. Okay. See, Aave has actually already put in a daily structural higher low. Many other altcoins have not done so. So something to keep in mind. And one could make the argument that this is a developing ascending triangle structure. From here, I mean, a breakout target would at least be 450 new highs or beyond, right? What else? Do y'all have any other questions? So yeah, Aave, Maker, Synthetics, BNT. I think a lot of our members have been mentioning BNT and then QNT as well. Mike from our community has been talking about QNT. Kudos to Mike. He's brought this up multiple times. Okay, let me see here. Here's our guy, Mike, right? He's been talking about QNT, I think literally since it's been like, I want to say $40 or $50. So now it's at 125, it's almost like what, 2x, 3x gain. So hopefully y'all pay attention within our community, people like Mike, people like Elizabeth, all the people who are mentioning these altcoins that are kind of really not mainstream yet, but other people are paying attention to them. Okay. The other thing cool, by the way, now is that we now have the feature of threads. So if I wanted to join Mike's thread like this, right, here's what I do. I just call this my thread name, right? I just say, let me see here. QNT thread from Mike, right? I'll just, do this for say 1 hour. Okay. Or say 24 hours, right? This way Mike can keep us updated and we just create this thread. And so now what I have is under traditional alts chat, I now have this thread that I can just follow quickly. And you guys could do this on anything really. Like if you want to, add a thread on, whatever post that I'm making or Bradley's making, now we have the ability to not have to read through 50 or 100 messages that come through the chat, and you can follow specific things in the chat and stay updated on that. It's really, really cool feature, and I'm really glad Discord added it. Okay. So I'm definitely going to be following this thread from Mike. And by the way, if you want to remove yourself from the thread, you just kind of do this and then leave the thread. Okay. And then that will just disappear. All right. Is there any other questions that I can answer? Anything else we can talk about? Anything you all want me to cover? So we covered, options, data. I already told y'all about this kind of long positioning, right? I told y'all this is kind of the way I'm looking at the market. Hopefully, if we hold up above this Monday high, this Monday high right here, that would kind of set us up for higher upside. Now it looks like we're breaking this trend line. So, who knows, what's going to happen as the US time zone market hours open, you could get a crazy amount of volatility, right? So just prepare yourself. Okay. Maybe we're also getting like this. That would be kind of cool, right? Fizzle, fizzle, break. Cool. All right, folks. Well, that's it. Y'all take care. And cheers.